Timothy, where it says that God has not given us a spirit of fear. And in this book I'm reading, it's called A More Excellent Way to Be in Health. And it says, and your enemy knows that he can control your thoughts, and by your soul and by your spirit. Your enemy knows things like bitterness, guilt, and fear, if allowed to remain in your consciousness, can be used to control you. When your spiritual dynamics are compromised by the enemy in a matter in which he can control your body and your chemistry, then he can put depression upon you or in any other physiological or biological malfunction on you when he feels like it. He can do this because depression, by definition, is no more or no less than a chemical imbalance in the body introduced externally or internally. Your enemy knows that if he can get you to be unspiritual, he can manipulate you in the areas of sanctification, then he can control your very thought process. When Satan can control your thought process, he can also control your chemistry. So when you have serotonin deficiencies, you do not feel good about yourself because there is a deficiency of a chemical. God created in you to make you feel good chemically. For every thought you have, conscious or unconscious, there is a nerve transmission, a secretion of a hormone, or a neurotransmitter somewhere in your body to react to it. When you are listening to fear, you start listening to self-hatred. You start listening to guilt. You start listening to rejection. Then your body secretes chemicals in response to those spiritual attacks that are counterproductive to your peace. Your enemy knows this very well. And it is about time that you know what your enemy knows about you so that you can defeat him at the pass. You do not have to be a victim, nor do you have to be ignorant, nor do you have to die of a disease and go to heaven to find out why you died. I think it's interesting that it says long-term fear. I've seen people that it just their everyday life, their everyday life is fearful. Not just about the virus and all this, just constantly looking and worried about what the next disaster is going to be. That does sound very familiar. You know, God has designed us to live a good life, not an easy life, but a good life. And if we continually live expecting the worst, we continue to confess the worst. And if we continually confess the worst, then we can have what we say. You know, maybe if I would teach myself to speak what God spoke and to not jest and to not be cute, but to let every yes be yes and no be no, my depression would have to leave. Have a good day in Jesus' name.